Hey, it's naturally quiet again, right? Good. I like it. So it is 12:30. And I think first thing we're going to do, we're going to invite Mike Worrell, who's the CEO of ValleyStar, to come up and give us his perspectives on things as a first-time sponsor going through this process. So I will turn it over to Mike here.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. First, I just want to thank Jay and the entire staff here for, number one, their professionalism, right? So the minute I met Jay, I think we kind of geeked out for a while, right? We were talking about data, life experiences, and all that good stuff. So I knew instantly we were going to do something, but I didn't know what the scope of this project was. And what's the benefit to us, right? To our membership, to our credit unions, and how can we really capitalize on it? In my career, I've spent time across the whole country, a lot of time in Silicon Valley or with Singularity University. They have a structure somewhat like you all are following, right? Data is critically important to companies. So all of you that are learning about data, how to present it, how to find the data, most importantly, that's going to have an effect, and how to use it is probably the most important thing from my point of view. We were creating a data department right when I met Jay. It's the first credit union that I've been in where we're actually going to have a centralized data department. That's how important it is, right? Because independent departments create their own reports, then they come in and they're showing off, and somebody's like, that's not right. Right? Somebody's trying to get a promotion, right? So centralizing the data and using all that stuff is what we're really focused on. And I have a saying, and I've said it for a while, I don't know who said it, but in God we trust, everybody else bring data. So that's why I kind of really enjoy these presentations and things. But for us at ValleyStar, I'm relatively new to the area, about 2 years now. And it's going to lead every decision we're making. I couldn't be more excited for this partnership. And it is our second year, first full year, I guess, to get this our new project underway. I apologize. So we're looking forward to the second year. Did mention earlier that people were signing up right away. Right when I saw him again, I said, yeah, I'll sign this up. So I don't know if you can sign like a 5-year contract. But you all are very impressive. And it's refreshing to see. Sometimes I get a little worried watching my 10-year-old. But thank you all. Thank you, Jay.
Without further ado, ValleyStar Team, step up.
We'll try now. Okay, let's just throw it back up. I'll try. All right, well. I gotcha. I'll just sit right here.
So good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. We are the ValleyStar Capstone Project Team of the MSBA GATE program at Hampton School of Business, Virginia Tech. And we're here today to show you the work we've done hand-to-hand with ValleyStar for the past 8 months regarding their enterprise risk management and vendor consolidation. Thank you. So ValleyStar is a credit union based in Virginia, and they have been serving families and business all over the area for the past like modern years from 1953.
So before we get started on our project, we just wanted to go through and introduce ourselves. So my name is Donovan Murphy. Before this program, I finished my undergrad at Virginia Tech with a finance and business information technology field.
My name is Tim Lim, and like Donovan, I also graduated from Virginia Tech. I graduated with a business information technology degree, doing all three focuses, which was digital support system, operation system management, and cybersecurity.
I am Daniela Hopper. I'm a journalist and I have a master in public communications.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sabri Chaudhary. Before starting this program, I completed my undergraduate in electrical engineering. I also have an MBA in marketing.
So we wanted to take this opportunity to give special thanks to Robert Svarro, ValleyStar's CRO, present here, to Mehdi Schaffer, ValleyStar's CFO, and to Dr. Andrew McKinley, our faculty advisor, and he's an assistant professor of finance at Cameron. So the situation is the following. ValleyStar is currently going through a digital transformation process to improve their operations, accuracy, and efficiency. So in this context, they want to review their risk assessment processes and also in another side to uncover any duplicates they might have among their vendors. So as a team, we think that the key question to answer here in order to achieve this goal would be, what should ValleyStar be evaluating and how? And now my teammate Sabir is going to walk you through the problem statement of this project.
Thank you, Daniela. The starting part of our project is the problem statement. It says how we, the Capstone project team at Virginia Tech, can help ValleyStar implement a new robust vendor management and enterprise risk management system. From this problem statement, we got our two project goals. The first goal is based on the vendor consolidation. So ValleyStar is using a software called Quantitate to input their vendor information and track the vendor data. So the goal is to track the vendor management system for duplicates and potential over expenditures. Now, with the help of our overall Capstone team and the help of the ValleyStar team, we have come up with some recommendations. For this particular goal, we're recommending to reorganize and optimize the vendor management database. The second goal of our project is the enterprise risk management part. And for this, the goal is to help ValleyStar improve the current for liquidity forecasting system and improve their accuracy. And we are recommending for this goal is to improve the accuracy of the forecasting model for the liquidity forecasting based on the historical data that so far we have been given by ValleyStar, and also factoring some macro and microeconomic factors. Now I'll hand it over to Tim to take us through the step-by-step process that we have done so far. Tim.
Thank you, Sabir. So I'll first go through the vendor consolidation part of our project. And our approach to the vendor consolidation part was where we first pull the information from the ValleyStar's database and we toss it into a Python code that we made. And from there, we will find potential duplicate vendors from the category list. And after that, we start interviewing individual vendors, owners, to figure out what individual vendors provide, what service does individual vendors provide to ValleyStar. Now, while we were able to find a handful of duplicate vendors, we also met some problems, especially within the database that we were working in, mainly from the inconsistencies and inaccuracy and outdated information within the database. So after all that, after interviewing individual vendor owners, we suggested ValleyStar to go through the process of restructuring and remodeling their database structure, mainly to simplify the input control, implement more detailed categories, create specialized columns, and after all of that, to make sure to perform periodic data review to make sure all the information are up to date. Now I hand over the presentation over to Donovan, where he will go over the enterprise risk management part of our project.
Thank you, Tim. So for the enterprise risk management part of our project, as Sabir mentioned, we covered liquidity forecasting. So these first two steps you see up here will be what our team covered. And steps 3 and 4 are what we recommended to ValleyStar to continue this process. So looking at step 1, we first had to define the data. So going through a bunch of financial reports like balance sheets and income statements, collecting and combining this data into a single file to use the actual values to then compare it to ValleyStar's historical model and look for improvement opportunities. So from there, moving on to step 2, we define significant relationships and try to find these. Once we were able to find these, you look at this first formula right here, our baseline forecast. We took a single entry from the liquidity forecast for the previous month. So we're forecasting for June. We would take May's data, multiply it by its slope, and add the intercept to get our baseline forecast. From there, we used this with the previous month's data to combine these two and average to get our hybrid forecasting formula, which ended up performing better throughout the entire process, and what we will be referring to and what we recommended to ValleyStar to use moving forward. So one of the ways we were able to determine whether there was an increase or decrease in accuracy was using MAPE. So MAPE stands for mean absolute percentage error, and the maroon is the hybrid model that we came up with, and the blue is the ValleyStar historical model. So if you look here at this top entry, interest and fees on loans with MAPE, you want it to be as close to 0 as possible, because the closer it is to 0, the more accurate the forecast is. So as you can see, the hybrid was closer to 0 and more accurate than the ValleyStar historical model. And we were, for this specific entry, we were able to increase the percentage accuracy by 67.25%. The same thing with the 4 other entries. And if you look down at the MAPE formula, in the denominator, you see the actual value is involved. And if this value is 0, your MAPE's gonna be undefined. So we had to come up with another way to another method to see if we can measure an increase or decrease in accuracy, which is when we use the average forecasting error between the two. And we compare each forecast individually with the actual values. And with this, you also want it to be as close to 0 as possible, meaning it's more accurate throughout the year. And so with this first entry, the estimated decrease in non-maturity shares, you can see that the maroon, the hybrid, is once again closer to 0 than the historical model. And we're actually able to increase this accuracy for this specific entry by $2.2 million. And the same goes with the 4 remaining across, and with the MAPE and the average forecast error, we were able to increase the accuracy of 10 of 19 entries that ValleyStar uses for their liquidity forecasting. And then this graph right here is just to show you all how the hybrid and the historical models stack up throughout the year of 2022 versus the actual data. So with the historical model, you can see that it is under forecasted and for the first 7 months of the year, and becomes closer by the end of the year. And with the hybrid, it moves in similar trends throughout the entire year, which was more accurate throughout the entire year. And then finally, what can ValleyStar do to continue this process in the future? We recommended that they continue to capture 2023 data, apply the hybrid formula to improve their forecast. And then finally, we also asked them or recommended to monitor significant relationships. And these 4 relationships right here are just a couple that we highlighted. But these relationships have continued to grow stronger and more significant in the past few months. So this is something to keep an eye on, because down the road, they could increase forecasting. Now, that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Donovan. So now we get to the last part, the recommendation one. So as we were seeing with my teammate team for the vendor consolidation part of the project, we did these 4 recommendations, and I wanted to point it here that the three first one will make the job easier, but it's the fourth one that will make the job possible. Keeping the data updated is the key, we think, to uncover any duplicates you may have in the future. And for the second part of the project, the enterprise risk management one, we suggested ValleyStar to use the hybrid model Donovan was showing us, also to create a cash flow statement, not only to help the liquidity forecasting efforts, but also we think it will help ValleyStar with their short and long-term planning. And finally, look further into the 4 risk areas that were not in the scope of this project. Thank you. So we wanted to give special thanks to ValleyStar and their team, and for all the trust that they placed in us. It was a very good experience for us to actually get to look in their data without filters, without makeup. It was very special for us because that means a lot of trust. So thank you very much. It was a great experience, and now we're open for any question you might have. Perfect. That's a great question.
Yeah, so we looked into those areas for gaps, the same with the liquidity risk area. And with their current operations as well as outside vendors they use, we weren't able to find a gap that was as significant as liquidity forecasting with the current events and their operations. So that's why we chose to stick with that.
You all already had an impact. We already turned that money, not doubled it, but close. Just in the last month or 3 weeks since last time I saw you. So thank you.